Right, folks, I'm still trying to figure out if this is actually working between OBS and a bunch of new gear. Not sure where we are at the moment, so please do open up in the chat and let me know if things are working. Somebody, be very, very handy indeed. Otherwise, I'm going to end this and try and figure out what's going on and come back in again. I can see and hear you. Can you hear and see me at good quality is the question. Please let me know. I've got the camera hooked up, the new camera, which I'm really happy about, and I've got the mic hooked up as well. And I'm just hoping, because I'm a bit of a technophobe, that all of these things are working in synchronization. 100% good, very good. Happy with that. I'm not sure if this has come through the same sort of channel that I scheduled for this. Like I've said, though, I am an absolute technophobe, so I'm still learning. I'm a year older. Today, I'm 43 today, so I thought I'd do a live stream here. So welcome to I think the last time I did a live stream was a year ago. And yeah, a lot has changed since then, to be honest. I'm still in Sydney. Life is good. I'm going to do some hobby stuff today, among other things. There's quite a lot to talk about that I've been doing. But please feel free to ask any questions you'd like to ask me, whether they are completely hobby related or Necromunda related or whatever, or completely ridiculous and nonsensical. Absolutely fine. I do enjoy the funny ones. I can give it and I can certainly take it as well. You'll notice in the background, guys, as more of you join, I've got a hell of a lot of tiles that I've been working on for Necromunda, so that's kind of what I'm going to be doing here today, is painting up some more of my tiles. Here's one I made earlier, a la Blue Peter. So I'm just painting the bases on these. What I've done is, I'm going to show you the tiles actually, as we get into it. As more people join, it's hard for me to see how many people are actually joining here. Oh no, here we go. I've got a few of you now. Welcome to Wellywood Wargaming. So I'm going to show you a few of the tiles that I've been working on. I'm trying to get as much of it done by Friday as possible, kicking off a new campaign on Friday with, I think, 8 people here in Sydney. And I'm going to be doing a multiplayer sort of custom scenario that I've sort of thought up, which is based on one of the Apocrypha Necromunda ones that I really like. I think it was Blood in the Spire. I might go through that actual scenario with you at some point as well. But the tiles that I've been working on today, you can see a few in the background. Let's grab a couple and have a look. Have a butchers, as they say. This one, I think, is my proudest achievement so far in terms of... I'm pretty new to making terrain and tiles, by the way. But this one, excuse how shiny it is, because I have been putting gloss varnish on it before I go in with a matte varnish. I just spent $60 on a really, really high-quality matte varnish. So hopefully that gets rid of some of the shine and gloss on these. But yeah, I'm really, really happy with this tile. As you can see, I've basically made a sort of trading tile with a whole bunch of really cool stuff on it. I've used the entirety of the contents of the, what do we call it, the Hive Market. So we've got also some stuff from the Kill Team Beta Decima, and that's what these sort of walkways and gantries and stuff are. But you can see the stalls that I've put on there. I've got a cargo container that I've made into a little shop. Pretty cool. I've also got a the big silo thing from the Kill Team one as well, and then I've put tons of little tables and chairs and stuff up the top. So the idea is here, you buy your drinks down here and you walk on up and chill in the bar at the top there. There's security, little security tent over here. And a rat burger stand and another stand here with ammo and a few other bits and bobs. Very exciting. I feel like I'm doing sort of model railway stuff or something even nerdier than I normally do by doing this, but pretty happy with how this has turned out. Honestly though, I think I've rushed the paint job a little bit. What I did is I think I rushed the sort of base of it, and then I stuck down a lot of the stuff like the cargo container, the tables and chairs and whatnot, without having them really fully painted. And then afterwards I've gone in with pigments and oil washes and stuff like that and tried to sort of join it together. But there are parts where I feel like it just doesn't really have a huge amount of continuity, I suppose. But maybe I'm just being pernickety. I think it does look pretty cool, though. What do you think? Quite happy with that tile? Would you be happy with this tile? I think it's going to be good to play on. Lots of little hubby holes and like sort of, you know, line of sight obscuring areas and cul-de-sacs and places to hide. What do you think? I'm pretty happy with that one. What else have we got? We've got this one here, which is all of the old hive sector stuff that I did years ago. I actually did a video on some of this stuff, painting it up. Did a tutorial on painting these things up, and ended up sticking it down onto some of these tiles, and it's looking pretty good. One thing I will say is it's probably best to leave areas of these tiles unpainted, because if you're going to stick stuff onto them after you've painted them, it can be a bit tricky, particularly if you've varnished them. In this case, though, I did do that, and it just left a little bit of sort of like white residue and stuff around where the glue was. Not a problem, though. I went in with some pigments afterwards and sort of joined it all together around the edges with some sort of dusty, rusty looking pigments, especially on the tops here as well, just to integrate it with the rest of my gear. So I've got 8 tiles so far. I do need that magic 9th tile, so I'm going to get that this week, hopefully. I've got a friend bringing one over for me, and I'm going to put the, what's it called? Another one of the kill team pieces of terrain called the, it's a huge thing, takes up the whole tile, and it came with Nightmare. So I think it came with the, what are they called? The Dark Elder, the Drakari guys, and the, what are they called? The flipping Chaos Space Marines with the bats and stuff. You know, those guys. Night something or others. I've just had a mental blank. Can't remember at all. I can't even remember the name of the Primarch. Jesus. Someone help me out here. What's the name of them? Night Lords. There you go. I've read the omnibus. Very, very good. So yeah, Night Lords and Drakari came with a really unique piece of terrain, which I'd really like to get hold of. So I've got someone sending me a copy of that they're not using. I'm going to stick that onto a tile, and I think it's probably going to take up the whole tile, and I might make it into sort of maybe a shrine, maybe sort of just kit bash it a little bit and make it into some sort of different type of thing, some sort of underhive bone shrine. I've seen somewhere, I'm not sure where, but I've seen somewhere that's it, Mandrakes and Night Lords. Thank you very much, Nicholas. I've seen somewhere that you can get 3D printed or 3D printable little candles and stuff. I've seen a few people using them on Instagram. It would be great to know where you can get those from, because, like, you know, the little candles you get on your corridor shoulders and stuff, I'd love to have loads and loads of those without having to sculpt them all. So I would like to put them on my terrain. But yeah, so I'm doing some terrain here today. I'm trying to get it all done by Friday. I don't think I'm going to get it all done. I've got a number of other tiles which are sort of half done. So, you know, stuck down, fully painted walls and columns and bits and bobs, but the actual tile themselves haven't been painted. But I have got a really quick and easy recipe for the actual tiles. I'll probably do a video separate to that at some point, but I'm really, really happy with how they've turned out. And again, I'll just show you what the tiles look like when they're painted. This is unfinished, but you can see the quality of that is pretty cool. Obviously a lot of pigments and dust all over that, so I need to secure that with some matte varnish, but really, really happy with how those are looking. And it was really, really simple, actually. What I did was coated them in light sea grey from Vallejo. Model colour, light sea grey, that one, which is a sort of blue grey. It's a really beautiful colour, quite subdued. Coated that in 2 coats of that by brush, and then I went in with some Dirty Down Rust and just splattered it over in random areas, splodging it all over. Then I went in with a sort of burnt umber oil wash all over the whole thing. I actually dotted the oil paint all over it and went through with some thinners. And then I wiped it off with a cloth. Super, super easy. And then after that, once I've stuck down these little boys, I've then gone in and used some pigments and sort of blended it all in, I suppose. And I think it's looking pretty cool. Obviously, I painted these a long time ago, probably a year or 2 ago now. But I do think they match pretty well. That said, I didn't actually use oils on these at all. It's just Agras Earthshade. For some reason, I went with the most expensive option you could possibly go for and added a shitload of Agras Earthshade to it. Instead of oils, I wish I'd have actually gone with oils because it looks better and it is cheaper and more accessible. So I'm painting one up here as well. Who have we got in the comments here? Green Stuff World. Green Stuff World do resin candles. Yes, awesome. Thank you, Von Krieg, for that. Green Stuff World. I'll check that out. I think they're European though, aren't they? So shipping might be a bit mental for me in Australia here. But as you can see, stuck down some stuff on a grey tile. I'm going to now sort of start base painting the actual tiles themselves. If I can do that while chatting to you guys, we'll see. But how is everybody today? Yeah. Let's get some of this light seat grey on. I'm trying to think what's new. Quite a lot of stuff is new. The first day of my new campaign is going to be this Friday. Like I said earlier, I'm going to be doing a custom scenario for that campaign, which is an adaptation of the Apocrypha Necromunda Blood in the Spire, the one that has the sort of rare sort of uphive weapons and equipment. If you haven't seen that one, go download it from Warhammer Community. In fact, download all the Apocrypha Necromunda stuff, because I have this scary feeling that if you don't own them and they aren't in your Google Drive or something, they'll just get rid of them one day, which is exactly what they did with Aeronautica Imperialis, because I went to try and look after the fact for some Aeronautica Imperialis scenarios and random stuff that was in White Dwarf magazines, and it wasn't there anymore. So I was pretty gutted about that. I did manage to get it all elsewhere, but, you know, it is what it is. Pretending to work, this is a good distraction. Yes. Oh, Josh, yes, I got someone who's actually going to come to the campaign on Friday. It's going to be super fun, although you are playing Corpse Grinders, so I'm pretty sure that you won't make any new friends there. It is what it is. At least you haven't gone too spammy, mate. There's not too many, if any, hand flamers in there. I see you've got a few smoke grenades, but it'll be interesting to see how you're going to use them with the limited visibility. Have you thought about that? You still got some time to edit your gangs. It's going to be really interesting, actually. So the scenario that we're playing on Friday, don't mind me, by the way, I'm painting while I'm talking to you. Scenario on Friday, it's an edit of Blood in the Spire. In fact, you know what I'll do? So I'll actually bring it up on my phone and I'll read it out to you, because it's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with it. I'd like to know what people think. It's also, for those of you who are actually turning up on Friday to this campaign, Simon, I know you're in the comments as well. We hate Josh. Okay. Terrain looks amazing. I'm still trying to get 4 minis primed and painted. You only need 3 for this Friday, by the way. You only need your leader and 2 bodyguards, so just letting you know there. But for those who don't know at all what I'm talking about here, I'm going to go ahead and just go through the new... Where is it? I need to find it first. Go through the scenario that I've been working on. Because I like to do custom scenarios. It's good fun. Documents, here we are. Let's see if I can actually find it anywhere. Oh, bear with me a second, guys. I look like I painted my enforcers with my left foot. Well, some people can paint with their feet. I've seen it done on, you know, Ripley's Believe It or Not or whatever. So it's definitely doable. Just quickly going through the campaign itself, though, it's going to be really, really fun. I haven't actually run a campaign for about a year now, so I haven't really played a huge amount of Necromunda. Obviously, Cody and I, shout out to Cody, played through the two-player Hive Secundus campaign, which was interesting. I was going to do a separate video on my sort of afterthoughts and views of that two-player campaign, but I may as well just do it here and sort of put everything into one video while I'm here. So ask away if you'd like to know about how that two-player campaign went, because it was interesting. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It was a little bit like playing Hero Quest or Warhammer Quest combined with Necromunda, which in itself has, you know, definite appeal, I think, for those of us who like a bit of a dungeon crawler. That said, the main problem I had with it I like the simplicity of it, but the main problem I had with it, I think, was just the fact that I'm playing on 2D terrain. Quite frankly, those paper mats are rubbish. And every single time I was playing, I just wished I was playing on 3D terrain. So for purposes of recording, it was a bit annoying because you had this sort of shine coming back off the paper mats. But the paper mats are just crap. It's the only crap thing about the Hive Secundus box set is the paper mats. Like, if they had nice cardboard ones, it might be a bit nicer. But again, as we probably all know, if you're playing Necromunda, it's best played on 3D terrain. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. Necromunda obviously came out originally in 95 with 3D terrain, so it was always weird when they re-released it with the 2D tiles. I do love the 2D tiles, don't get me wrong, and I think it's nice to be able to switch it up and play 2D sometimes as well. But the real way that you're playing Necromunda should be 3D, am I right? I think so anyway. So what was I doing? I was looking for... Sorry, I'm getting carried away with everything. I was looking for the new scenario that I made here, and I've just figured out why I can't find it, because I'm in the wrong account. Right, then here we go. Who's excited about the new Forge World releases anyway? We've got all of them coming out at once, by the way, by the looks of it. We've got the Floating Malstrain Coalescence. We've got the Hermophage Magos, also known as Biologus, whatever his face is, coming out as well, which is an interesting model. I'd like to see that close up because I'm not really sure how I feel about it all in all. But just to clear something up, he is exactly the same stats-wise and rules-wise as the Hermophage Magos was in the Book of Ruin. So that's why I haven't done a video on him, because he's already been done in the Hermophage Magos. So there you go. What are your thoughts on the Malstrain being restricted to that campaign? Could you see them being OP if used in a normal campaign? Sean, do you mean restricted to the actual Underhills campaign that you get in the Book of the Thingamy-Bob? I mean, yes, I suppose they're intended to be used just in that, but I can't see why anyone would not let them in any other campaign. They're not very good, quite frankly. They're just not a very good gang. They're okay, but I don't think they're scary enough to be not included. They're certainly not as scary as Corpse Grinders or Gene Smith Goliaths or Van Saar or anything. They're very limited, quite frankly. And I don't think many people are going to want to play them, sadly, because there's no real development. So they might start off pretty good in a campaign because you've got, Gene Stealers running around and stuff. But as all the other gangs start getting trading post stuff, you're not. So your Brood Scum can't access the trading post. Your leader, who isn't actually a leader, is a champion or whatever, can't access the trading post. All you can do is buy Tyramites, and that is it. That is actually it. You can't get any other unique hangers on or brutes or anything like that. It's a real shame. So I think it's down to arbitrators to, house rule these things, but I can't see why you'd exclude Malstrain gangs in any campaign, to be honest. I think they'd kind of be quite nice in an Uprising campaign. I think that'd be pretty cool. Just from a narrative perspective, having them in a sort of Uprising campaign, I think would be really cool. I can't for the life of me find the actual flipping, what do you call it? Oh, I know where it is. Sorry, guys. Bear with me. I'm just trying to looking for... what are we looking for here? Looking for a file that I've written, which is the new scenario. Where have I put it? I just want to go through this scenario that we're going to be playing on Friday as a sort of kickoff to the new Underhells campaign. And the actual, maybe I'll go through the actual document itself as well for the campaign, because I think it's worth doing that. Here we go. Right, I've got it. All right, so I'll just wash my brush because otherwise it's going to get all yucky. So the scenario that I've written here, like I've said, it is based on the Blood in the Spire scenario. It's got a similar mechanic in it. It's completely different fluff-wise. So it's called Showdown at Bordertown. I'm quite excited about this. I've put a little tiny blurb here and I've constructed it in the same way that you do with the rest of them. So I've got Gang leaders and their bodyguards meet on neutral ground at Bordertown before they embark on their hunt for riches within the Underhells of Hive Secundus. So this is a Hive Secundus Underhells campaign that we're doing. We are using, vehicles and whatnot in the campaign. I'll go through the actual campaign doc at some point as well, but this is the unique scenario we've got to kick it off. So basically, all of the gangs have arrived at this place called Bordertown before we even get into the exclusion zone. So things are kind of normal here. We've got full visibility. There's no gene stealers around. We're basically having almost like a gang moot in a sort of trading area, in a sort of market square, I suppose. Attacker defender, there's no attacker or defender in this one, and it's underhive only, so no vehicles in this particular one either. I think this is either going to be 2x2 or 3x3. I think depending on how many players you've got, you could do 3x3. I think I probably will do 3x3 in this because I think we've got 8 players, and it's custom 3 in terms of the crew there as well, so one of those fighters must be your gang's leader. So basically the idea is all of the gang leaders have turned up to have a chat with some of the other gang leaders who are also about to embark on this Underhells journey for good or ill, and then you can choose 2 other fighters in your gang. So that, I mean, you might want to go OP and just give them, make them champions or brutes or whatever, or you just might go for fluffy narrative reasons, or you might just go for your best models. I'm personally playing Gene Stealer Cult, so I'm probably going to go with my leader, who's a bit fragile but is a psyker, and 2 aberrants as sort of bodyguards here. The deployment is as follows. So we've got all gang leaders begin the battle at least 8 inches from the center of the battlefield. All other fighters must start within 1 inch of any table edge and on ground level at least 6 inches from an enemy fighter. There you go. 2 tactics cards, random each. We've got a tactics deck of 10 in each gang here, so you have to pick 2 random ones here, but I have put a little thing here that says no tactic that grants extra fighters may be used, because that would be a bit corny, I think. In terms of victory, each gang will have a different condition for winning based on their hidden intent, and that's where it gets interesting. For the rewards here, I thought in the first game of the season, in fact in every campaign I've ever run in Necromunda, for the first game, no injuries. Just no injuries at all, only out colds. I feel it's really harsh if you're going to play the first game of a campaign and your leader gets killed. It happens. I've seen it happen. I've had it happen. And it's just really harsh. It doesn't create a fun environment when your leader's taken out in game 1, put it that way. So I think everybody would agree. And there's an interesting idea for you arbitrators out there. Just have a multiplayer scenario at the beginning to kick things off. Everybody gets to learn who's who, put faces to gangs and stuff like that if you haven't met each other before, and then you can start organizing games after that. Then all your leaders can die, that's fine. But I think in the first one, just keep it nice and friendly. It's a social event, so we're just going to have no injuries. For the rewards here, every single leader will get a D6 roll on a similar table to the data crystal roll in the Underhells campaign. So I have changed it slightly here though. So on a 1 to 3, this is a D6 by the way, on a 1 to 3 you get a free random chronomancy power. So shout out to Underhive lore keepers here, by the way, if you're watching this. I was listening to something on the Underhells that they were doing on one of the podcasts, and talking about the time shifting and stuff that happens in Hive Secundus. Because of the gravity bombs and everything that bombed Hive Secundus, we've got some really interesting stuff happening in terms of time skipping. If you read if you read the actual book, when we're talking about Lady Hera, she's sort of like hearing herself ahead of herself and behind of herself. All this weird stuff's happening with time, basically. Time has been messed with seriously. So on a 1 to 3, your gang leader gets a random chronomancy power, which I think is really, really cool and fluffy. Suddenly they become awakened to time travel somewhat. On a 4, you get a free random primary skill. On a 5, you get a free random secondary skill. And on a 6, you get a random skill from any table. And when I say any table, I mean any table, excluding the generic weird powers. So you can have, say you're playing Goliath here, you could have a finesse skill. Totally, why not? It's the first game of the campaign. Let's just make it fun. You could have, I might even throw Orlok legendary names in there or something. I'll have a think about it before we actually do it, but yeah, I think that's a cool idea. The next thing, and the mechanic that I've stolen from that Apocrypha Necromunda to some degree, is the Rising Tension and Double Cross special rules here. So with Rising Tension, the leaders and their champions have met on neutral ground under a banner of truce. This means that weapons are limited and neither side is willing to be the first to start shooting until the Double Cross. When a fighter is activated, they must make an intelligence check at -3. So in the actual scenario, it was a cool check. I've made it an intelligence check as I feel like leaders are going to have much higher cool than they are intelligence generally. Except for my leader who has an intelligence of 4+. Not doing it for me though. Additionally, until the double cross is triggered, only weapons with the melee trait may be used to make attacks. So you can't shoot anything at all until the double cross has been made. The aggressor knows that this is a setup and can choose their moment to spring the double cross. At the start of any round, the aggressor can trigger the double cross. As soon as they do, the rising tension rule ceases to be in effect. If any fighter is taken out of action, the double cross is automatically triggered. Then what I have is a list of 8 different hidden intents here, and these are going to be based on cards. So we're going to get a deck of cards here, and we're going to deal ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and see who gets what. And then these are going to be chained to a different sort of hidden intent here. So if you get the ace, there's the ace of spades here, you are the aggressor and you are the one who triggers that double cross. So and also you get +1 rep per enemy taken out of action here as well, but you are the leader in this. In fact, you get to decide how this game is pretty played and the pace in which it gets played at. So it's very tactical. I might even make the double cross from turn 2 onwards. I think if you did it in turn 1, it would just kind of just, you know, get rid of the whole uniqueness of that double cross. So maybe I'll do that. If you get a 2 of spades, you are envious. The most expensive enemy fighter on the battlefield, enemy fighter, not just leader, is the target for the duration of the battle, and you get +3 rep for taking that target out of action, and you may re-roll close combat attacks against that target as well. Number 3 of spades here, you're the mastermind, so this leader may choose to gain initiative once in this battle without having to roll for priority, which is pretty good and pretty important there. You get +1 rep for enemy per enemy taken out of action as well. Spooked with the 4 of spades, this leader gains the evade skill for the duration of the battle, and if this leader successfully escapes the battlefield by the end of turn 6 with a double action from within 1 inch of a board edge, you gain D6 XP. You don't gain rep for escaping, you just get XP instead. On a 5 of spades, you get survival instinct, so retreat actions for this leader are always 2+ roll success. Enemy reaction attacks during this fight as retreat action always fail, plus D6 XP if this fighter is still on the battlefield and not seriously injured by the end of turn 6. You just got to hide. We've then got 6, which is the homicidal maniac. This leader may make a 3d6 move and coup de grace action once during this battle, and +1 rep per enemy taken out of action as well. 7 of spades is paranoid. This leader gains a 5+ field armor save for the duration of the battle. If this leader is still on the battlefield and not seriously injured by the end of turn 6, award +d6 rep. And the last one, and the most fun one, is the saboteur. So 8 of spades here. This leader must place 3 bombs on the battlefield in secret. Placing a bomb is a double action and must be at least 6 inches from another bomb or fighter and out of line of sight of all enemy fighters. +3 rep if all 3 bombs are placed. So there you go. Some ideas there on that. There. I think it's pretty fun. Yeah, what do you think of that? I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, quite happy with the scenario. I might make a few tweaks before we do it on Friday, but there you go. Quite a nice one there. What else was I going to say on that note? Basically just, oh yeah, of course, all of those hidden intents are secret. So you get your card, you look up which one you've got your own objective to do. You don't have to tell any of the other players. They can kind of figure out what it is, but, you know, I really like the idea of almost like a murder mystery sort of weekend in Necromunda. I guess that's how I'm sort of putting it there. So pretty cool there. I do like it. Right, let's have a look at some. Sorry, I haven't been answering any of these chats here as well. So fire away on the chats here. What do we got? We've got what? Double X. Hang on. Let me just make this a little bit bigger all of a sudden. There we go. Right. Geez, lots of questions here. Sorry, I'm going to go back to the beginning here. Double X sets you crack if you don't go up against grinders. Yeah, not sure what's going on there. Sounds fun. Let us know how it goes. Yeah, cool. Yeah, really excited about that. So we're kicking off this Underhells campaign. The Underhells campaign, I think, so far looks like, haven't played it yet, but it looks like the best campaign there is. I think it's great. I've made a few minor adjustments to it, a few house rules in there. Nothing too major, though. We're keeping it pretty much as is. 3 phases with 2 downtimes in between. Yeah, I think it'll be really good. What else is new, though? Not really sure. It's been, like I said, it's been a year since my last live one here. now that I've actually got a good camera and decent audio, I think I might do more of these if you'd like me to. Of course, I don't have to. I just thought I would just for this because, you know, share custom rules for your campaign on Discord. Yes, I will. And I've put them on Facebook. I've put that on Facebook, but I haven't put the updated version. I think I put it on Discord as well. Pretty sure I did. Hi, Wellywood. Big fan. I'm joining a new campaign soon with Von Buren leading my Outcast gang. Kit bashed him from an architect. Found him. Yeah, Von Buren's awesome. He's awesome, but he's only like toughness 2 or something, isn't he? So he's got like a severe downside, which sucks. I mean, he's immune to rad and stuff, but I mean, yeah, toughness 2. Ouch. This is a good question, mate. Brownerama DMD. What's the most fun gang to play against? The most fun gang to play against, without sounding too corny, is the most fun person to play against. So if you get someone who's just really nice and easygoing and just a fun person, then it doesn't really matter what gang they're playing. I'd say there are definitely certain gangs that I don't enjoy playing against as much. You know, most people go, oh yeah, I don't really enjoy playing corpse grinders. I kind of do actually, because they give me a little bit of a tactical conundrum. And if you've got tools that can deal with corpse grinders, then it is pretty fun watching them go, oh shit, my only plan doesn't work here because this person's got a million flame templates because they're playing Cawdor. So there are hard counters to each gang. In terms of, I enjoy playing against Outcast gangs with good ideas, like the one above there, Van Buren-led Outcast gang. That sounds really fun. I enjoy playing against inventive and creative, fun narrative choices, I think, because a lot of people just do the stuff that's in the box and don't really give a lot of thought to the narrative, and I think that's really where my heart lies, is in the narrative, which is why, honestly, quite frankly, I'll always go back to playing Outcasts in general, because they're just so much fun to be able to, you know, customize and come up with a cool and unique story for. With this campaign, I'm not making everyone do it, but I've advised that everybody does a bio, a backstory on their gang, their reason for existing, why they are there in the Underhells, what are they there for, why are they there, what do they hope to gain out of going into the Underhells, and are they goodies, are they baddies, what drives them, what motivates them, and if they do write one of these, they get extra rep, they get +3 rep, I believe, so pretty cool. I also award extra rep for having a painted gang as well, because I enjoy playing against painted gangs. I don't enjoy playing against a bunch of grey plastic, if I'm honest. So I'm just intermittently painting this tile here. It's going all right so far. I need to do several layers of this light sea grey, even though it does cover really well, actually. I think 2 layers of it is all that's really needed there. Right, more questions here. House rules for plasma guns. Always unstable. I don't know. I get this a lot. I get a lot of people telling me that plasma guns should be nerfed. Plasma guns are too powerful. I don't think they are. I think they're fine. Yeah, I mean, maybe you should just up the cost. I think 100 credits is probably a bit cheap, right? When you compare it to a melter gun has less utility. Sure, it's scary, but you know, it's short range. Yeah, if you brought them up to the cost of a melter gun, maybe that would sort of even things out on plasma guns a little bit. What do you think? Not really sure. What's your least favourite gang to play against? Grey plastic. Yeah, honestly, it is. It's just not as fun. 100%. There you go. What else is new? What else was I going to talk about today? I'm nearly on 1 million views, which, you know, for the whole channel doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm stoked to be at a sort of huge landmark like that for me personally. 1 million views? Like 1 million is a big number. Like I was never good at maths, but 1 million is a big number, right? I haven't got 1 million views on any video, and I don't expect I will because it's such a niche channel, but 1 million views across all, pretty stoked. Like that's awesome. Yeah, super stoked on that one. So thank you for getting me there, guys. I know that a lot of my stuff is... although it is very niche, I suppose some of it's quite evergreen, I suppose, without being intentional. So what that means is a lot of people go back to it. So I'm hoping that that just, the more I do, the more that sort of like keeps snowballing. And obviously, more people are getting into Necromunda. Hopefully they get into it through this channel. That's kind of the idea. I really, really hope that happens. But it is still very, very niche, and I do struggle with picturing how things might be in the future regarding this channel. Obviously the support is huge, and I really, really appreciate it. But how do I really grow from here is the question I need to ask myself, because it's all good just doing the same thing over and over again, but there is a part of me that wants to do more. The trouble is I don't want to do more at the cost of watering down or the integrity of what I'm trying to do. I don't want to ruin that at all. So am I going to start making 40k content? Probably not anytime soon, but in the future, if I do want to grow, I might have to start considering stuff like that. So just saying that. Been watching since the shed. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Like I literally started doing it. I didn't intend to do this. It was just kind of randomly happened. I thought I'd do a battle report or two, and did, and then here we are, 2 years later. Pretty good, nearly 1 million views. And I'm in the dining room, which isn't ideal. This is my dining room table in the background, and a bunch of shoes. You don't see what's going on in the room, but yeah, it's not ideal. I have to set up and then I have to pack away. Luckily, I've got massive amounts of kitchen storage. So half of the kitchen is just hobby, paints, lighting, cameras, and just gear, which I'm sure my missus isn't too happy about. But we only have a 2-bedroom apartment here. So once we've got a 3-bedroom, we'll be able to maybe have a studio of my own and actually keep things set up all the time. Collab with Miscast. Build some custom. Who's Miscast? Should I know? Should I know who Miscast is? Probably should. I'll be honest though, I don't watch a lot of other YouTube content. There are a few sort of key individuals that I do watch, but I tend to listen to more podcasts than YouTube stuff, which is ironic, I suppose. But I spend a lot of time making videos, but I don't spend a lot of time watching videos. So I never know what's out there. So I'm sure there's going to be times where I've probably covered what someone else has talked about, but I wouldn't know because I've never watched any content. So Australian content creator is in Melbourne and does a lot of custom build stuff. What you mean, like what, actually miniatures, or do you mean terrain and stuff, or what are we talking here? Anytime I need to look up a Necromunda thing, I check if you have a video on it. 8+ content. Thank you. Yeah, I've covered a lot of content. Covered a little content, and there's still so much more to cover. Does a lot of Mordheim too. Okay, I'll check him out. Miscast. Okay, there's a shout out to Miscast there. I will check it out if I haven't done already. I do apologise. There's so much good content out there. This is the thing, and it's hard to try and carve out a niche. I'd like to think that I have carved out somewhat of a niche. Obviously Games Workshop thought I did, so they got in touch with me. Were like, hey, Necromunda guy, you do a good job. Here's some stuff. And that was nice. That was really humbling. So I'm looking forward to that support continuing. Hopefully it does. Hopefully I don't swear too much and they go, no, we don't want to be involved with this guy anymore. Hopefully I'm not that bad, am I? Not that bad at swearing constantly. I'm pretty sure they don't like that though. So I've been told they don't like that. So I need to chill. I need to chill with the swear words. Yeah. What have we got here? Paul Hammer reviewed a bunch of content creators and they recognized you as the Necromunda guy. Okay, well that's really humble. I think someone did send me that, and I was really, really stoked. That's really nice to hear. Like I wouldn't say I am though. There's certainly other people out there that do better quality or more Necromunda stuff. I guess I'm probably the only one who's doing it in this amount of volume because I'm literally breaking everything into tiny little segments with my OCD brain and exploring every little tiny little detail of the game. So I don't think there's anyone doing that. And that wasn't intentional. It's just the way my brain works. I compartmentalize everything completely because I'm fully OCD. It's
It's just the way I do things. But, people seem to appreciate it. Doing a 60 or 70 video series on every single dramatis personae, no one else is going to do that. It's only me that's going to have the patience and dedication to do it. And when I start something, I absolutely finish it. So I'm starting this terrain now. I'll have it finished by the end of the week, If I start a gang, it's finished there and then. I don't ever leave stuff undone. So I can tell you now, if I start a project and I start a series on videos here, I will never leave it unfinished, I promise, unless I die. Which is probably quite likely because I don't actually have any time for myself. Hey man, Matt from Newcastle here, watching from hospital. Mate, whatever's up, I hope you get better. Shout out to you, Bangarang Gaming. Harry Bob, you ever considered doing a co-op with Underhive Lawkeepers? Yes, Harry Bob, I know you're a fan of both of us, and I have spoken to Underhive Lawkeepers. I've recently got into listening to all of their podcasts, and I will give them a huge shout out to them here, because they're kind of a niche. They do the law stuff. I do the sort of rules stuff, I suppose, to a certain degree. So we don't really cross over, but we're both in Australia, and they're doing some great stuff. So if you like your law, definitely check out those guys, because they are awesome. That said, the continued mispronunciation of Delacroix instead of Delac really does bother me. And I know they're doing it on purpose, but it's like I'm this close to switching off whenever I hear the term Delacroix instead of Delac. It just makes me want to physically slap the guy. But, I'm sure he's a nice dude, but, if I meet him in Melbourne or whatever, I may have to give him a slap. Just saying that. It's really annoying. That's really, really annoying. But then, people in Melbourne are a little bit annoying. It's just one of those things, They go on about how shit Sydney is. Sydney's just better. I'm so sorry, but it's just better. Anyway, that might be a bone of contention for a few people there, but it's just true. It's just true. I think a lot of Melbourneites, they've never left Melbourne, so they just assume that everything outside of Melbourne is shit. But in actuality, it's all really good, and they just need to be more positive about stuff. Whinging, flipping Melbourneites. Anyway, I was told when I was moving to Sydney that I would never go to the beach, that the coffee's shit, and the people are rude, and none of those things are true. So there you go. Build a wall. Could do, yeah. Be a wall of Sector Mechanicus terrain, I think. Spamuel knows is still out. I know Spamuel. Spamuel's a good boy. He's a very good boy. I like him. The other guy, he should know better. He should know better, definitely. I'm not an Aussie, but I'm here for the pretty regional rivalries. It's funny, isn't it? Because I'm not an Aussie either. I'm from London. I'm not even a Kiwi. So I'm from London. And there's regional rivalries in the UK that probably trump the regional rivalries in Australia, because they're far older. So the North and the South just don't like each other. Someone from London tends to look at someone from Manchester as a little bit simple, by comparison. So whether that's true or not is up to you. Move to Newcastle. It's like Sydney, but with less Sydney people. This sounds a bit cold for me, mate. Honestly, I've never been to Newcastle, but it sounds a bit cold. But the people are lovely. I've never met a bad Geordie, I'll be honest. I've never met a bad Geordie. They're awesome people. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. It's funny coming here from New Zealand, though, because Aussies are so passionate about their states and stuff. I guess it's the same in America, right? But yeah, from between Victoria, New South Wales and Queensland, obviously you've got the State of Origin, which is a huge rugby league thing that I've fully got really into now. I've got really into the NRL, and State of Origin is just huge. But I didn't quite understand it until I moved to New South Wales, because it's not a thing in Victoria. They don't really care for rugby league, unfortunately. They care about AFL, which is a less good sport. I'm from Washington, D.C. in USA East Coast. It's just NYC versus every other major city. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, if you want to take it back to the Civil War. Absolutely take public holiday. Yes, they do take public holidays over things like this as well. It's funny, obviously I'm from the UK. The channel that I made in New Zealand. So, I lived in New Zealand for 7 years. and now I've lived in Australia for, 2 years now, I think. So I'm a little bit confused as to where I really fit in the world. Do I still feel British? Am I kind of a bit more Kiwi, or am I an Aussie now? My passport is still British, and my whole childhood and young adulthood grew up in London, Cambridge first and then London. And I lived in the north for a bit. I lived in York as well, which is a beautiful city, by the way. But moving to New Zealand, I moved so far away physically and emotionally, and I kind of detached myself from being British for a little bit, if I'm honest, and I almost turned a bit Kiwi. I went native, as they say, and I don't regret it at all. I still feel a bit Kiwi. So if I'm a barber by day. If I meet people who come in to my shop and in my chair and they're Kiwis, I feel more brotherhood and I feel more in common with Kiwis than I do with Brits now, which is a bit funny. But I think 7 years fully invested in that country, and the most beautiful people that I've ever met in my life, and the most beautiful country that I've ever been in my life. I feel far more connected to New Zealand than I do to the UK. So I'm getting on a weird sensitive tip here. In terms of Australia, though, I feel like I'm really, it's hard because now I feel conflicted, because when I first came here, I just missed the hell out of New Zealand and wanted to go back straight away. Now I don't. Now I kind of feel like this is kind of becoming my home. Since being in Sydney. Sydney's an amazing city. I went on a huge bushwalk yesterday over on the other side of the city, and it was, similar to what I would do in Wellington, except it was less windy and more sunny. It was pretty lovely, to be honest. Yes, sure, there are spiders and snakes and things like that here, but I can see myself probably really liking it here and not necessarily going back to Wellington. But I do still feel very Kiwi. Obviously, my partner's a Kiwi, my son's a Kiwi. So I do feel very Kiwi. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to feel very Aussie. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how the future shapes up in terms of where we are and stuff. I've still got a house in New Zealand, so we may go back at some point. Very, very difficult over there at the moment, though, in terms of economy's screwed, and the quality of life there just isn't as good, quite frankly, as Sydney is right now. You're not going to get paid as much, not as much opportunity. Prices for stuff are just as expensive, so there you go. Right, serious questions now, because I've gone off on a massive tangent there. Kiwis are class, like us are. You know what? Kiwis and Irish are really similar, I think. Because it's my birthday present was a DNA test. Because I've always been told, because my mum's bipolar and a bit of a psycho, and a heavy drug user and just a bit of an idiot. No happy birthday from her, by the way. I think she's always lied to me about my sort of family history. So what I've got for my birthday this year is a DNA test. So I'm going to do a DNA ancestry test and figure out what my actual lineage is, because a lot of people in my family are saying that we're very Irish. And it's the first time I've ever heard that until we started doing a family tree. So prior to recently, I thought I was Romany Gypsy, apparently, according to my mum, but maybe not. I think the pale skin and dark hair might mean that I've got a bit of, Colin Farrell in me or something. I'm not really sure. He's a handsome fella, though. I'll take it. The walks and trails above Wellington are amazing. Can understand why you love that city. Mate, honestly, Wellington, for all people say about Wellington, yes, it's windy and it can be cold and stuff. It is such a beautiful place. It's magical to be able to walk out your doorstep and be literally in the Lord of the Rings, Middle-earth. You're just in Middle-earth, and there's something magical and spiritual about the land in New Zealand, and I've never said that before because I'm like the biggest atheist, and but I had almost a spiritual connection to New Zealand that I can't really replicate anywhere else. I've tried very hard, but I can't really replicate that feeling of connected to the land, to the sea, to the sky, to the trees. It sounds crazy, but I felt that, to breathe in air in New Zealand is it's just this next level oxygen, this sort of almost like a spiritual thing. I don't know. So there you go. Origin story incoming. Sorry. Yeah, I do this. I go off on these massive, real intense emotional rambles at times. I'm definitely an oversharer, so I do apologise for that. But it's better than being, being one of these blokes who just hides their feelings and tries to pretend they're all tough and stuff. It's much tougher to admit that we have emotions and feelings and be in touch with it, if you ask me. Which Blood Bowl mini would you use as an instant crossover to Necromunda? Oh, that's a good question. Blood Bowl mini would you use as an instant crossover to Necromunda? Oh, I don't know. I've used Necromunda crossover in Blood Bowl. I used Escher as an Amazon team. But I haven't done it the other way around, I don't think. In my Beastman gang, my Beastman Enforcers, which you haven't seen, they're on Instagram, I was thinking about using a Blood Bowl Minotaur as their Ogryn. But according to the boys from Underhive Lawkeepers on the Abhuman episodes, they don't see a Minotaur in Necromunda. They just think that would be completely unfathomable. So maybe I've been swayed by that a little bit. I love Minotaurs. Minotaurs are awesome. I've got a Minotaur tattoo with a broken horn and he's crying. So I've always liked the Minotaur as a thing. If you could make a Kiwi-themed Necromunda gang, which minis would you use as their base? I already did, mate. I made a Mongrel Mob-themed Orlok gang. I had to. It was funny as hell. I painted them all red and black. They all had Mongrel Mob tattoos. I found it funny. You know, it'd be funny, actually, because I hashtagged Mongrel Mob as well. It'd be funny if actual real-life gang members saw it and was like, oh, what's this, bro? Oh, hey, that's quite mean. They might like it. You never know. Either way, I'm living in New Zealand here, so you don't really get them around these parts. Sorry, living in Australia now, you don't really get them in these parts, the Mongrel Mob. If you don't know what a Mongrel Mob are, just Google it, and you'll find out. Put a Minotaur into Necromunda and refuse to take it out until they pronounce Delacrylate correctly. Okay, I'll do that. That's a good thing to do. What's your advice for not getting caught up in flaws in painting layup when batch painting? I usually focus on 1 minute at a time until I'm happy. Trying to batch paint is doing my head in. Well, I think batch painting is preferable to me. I prefer batch painting. Even though it's a bit more arduous, I think that continuity is there. If you paint each individual miniature in a batch, not systematically, like what I do is I'll do all the base colours, I'll do all the highlighting, I'll do all this, I'll do it in a systematic order. That way that you have that's the best way of having real continuity. But in terms of like being annoyed by the flaws and stuff, just use streak and grime because it covers all the flaws and makes your miniatures look great with minimal effort, really. So let's be honest. I have a very cool Minotaur mini from Gary Hunt. Oh, that's awesome. Gary Hunt at Weta Workshop. Honestly, if I'd have stayed in Wellington, I think I probably would have gone for a job there. I would have tried to get a job in their talent pool because, I can do hair and I can do model terrain. So if I could do both of those things, then, I might be an asset to, I don't know, Lord of the Rings or something. Making dwarf beards, and doing miniature models and stuff would be super, super fun. I'd really love to do that as a job and get out of full-time barbering at some point. I'm looking to hopefully, eventually make this somewhat of a part-time job. If I could maybe get to a point where I've got enough income to actually warrant taking a couple days off work a week to do this, because at the moment, these Wednesdays are the only days I get to do any YouTube stuff, any video, any recording or anything, and that is my actual day off. So I only have 1 day off a week technically, because this is a working day now. So I only really have 1 day off, and that's a Sunday, and that's usually when I'm knackered and I have to do all the family stuff. So it's not ideal, but I wouldn't have it any other way. It is what it is. Washes in general are magic for hiding small mistakes. Of course they are. That's the point, really, isn't it? I suppose. I mean, it's not, but it should be. I want to say thank you. In your podcast, you answered some questions about how to set up a gaming group. Thanks to your input, I've now got a team of 20 plus people interested in gaming. That's fantastic. You're in the military, I think, Bob, from what I remember, or you're in the Navy. I've heard Cody's actually in the Navy as well. I've got a few people who I know who've got military jobs, and they say that actually wargaming is pretty popular in all of those jobs. And a lot of them, whether it's Army or Navy or Air Force, have space for wargaming at their barracks and stuff, which is really, really cool. I didn't know that until recently. Very cool. Solkath the Zote is from Warhammer 40k, who is playing the Blood Bowl. How is he from Warhammer 40k? Zotes are a fantasy species. I mean, they're from 40k as well, don't get me wrong, because they did a 40k Zote back in the day, as well as a fantasy Zote. But they are a fantasy species that coexist, or I can't remember if they hate wood elves or they like them. Unfortunately, gaming in the armed forces, it has a stigma. You're helping to break it down. Thank you. I think, dude, I've said this before, and I say it all day long when I'm at work. People assume that I'm cool because I'm a barber. I am not cool. I do wargaming. I'm a flipping nerd, but I don't care. And I think, honestly, if you stop caring what people think, that's how you really spread the good word of... Look at Henry Cavill, for example, right? He's a massive nerd. He's not a particularly interesting dude. Like, you know, I'm sure he could have more charisma, but, you know, he's a handsome guy and everybody looks up to him and goes, oh, Henry Cavill, he's, you know. Now he's come out and said he's a wargamer. Everybody's like, oh, that's kind of all, it's kind of cool now. But I think we're living in an age, we're living in a time now where being a nerd is cool. There's like nerd chic now, you know, thanks to things like Henry Cavill and thanks to things like... what's that TV show that everybody watches where they play D&D? All the kids play D&D and stuff. Like, I'm a barber. The amount of times I've got a 40-year-old tech executive in my chair and I'm like, hey, bro, what are you doing this weekend? You know, are you going out for some beers and stuff? And they're like, no, actually, I'm staying at home with my mates and playing D&D. 10 years ago, they wouldn't have said that. Now they're saying it. And yeah, Stranger Things. Thanks, Josh. Now they're saying that and they're not ashamed by it, which is fantastic. And when I tell people, because I'm like, I'm an oversharer, I'm in cutting someone's hair. I'm like, hey, have you got any hobbies? And the amount of times people sort of hide the fact that they play 40k or something, I'll have to tease it out of them because I can tell if someone's into wargaming. You can just tell. So I usually go down the channel of like, hey, you know, you play any video games or anything? Oh, yeah, you should check out the new Space Marine, by the way, blah, blah, blah. And then I get on to the, you know, 40k. Do you ever play any 40k, wargaming or anything? And it's so funny how many people either used to do it or now do it. And I've actually, I think, single-handedly brought a few people back to the hobby just by coming in for haircuts, quite honestly, which is cool. I'm pretty happy about that, but I'm not ashamed of it at all. And my colleagues who work with me know that they can't take the piss out of me because it just doesn't work. Like, you can try taking the piss. I'm impervious to people taking the piss out of me. I'm not sensitive about shit. Like, I can give it and I can receive it. And I think, honestly, all my colleagues actually admire the fact that I have social, creative outlet that isn't going out and getting wasted on a Friday night with my mates and not really amounting to much. You know, I have a hobby that I think is incredibly valuable, and so do you guys, and it's great, isn't it? Let's all celebrate the fact that we have that, because a lot of people don't have it, so, and they wish they did. So there you go. Nerd culture seems to be in decline again. Do you think? I don't agree. I don't agree at all. Like, dude, I've got so many like dads and like even young dude. Like, I had a young French dude who is just like sommelier or whatever the word is. I can't speak French, but yeah, like works with wine and stuff. He's like a nerdy Twitch streamer. Like, I think people hide it, but it's still definitely a thing. But you know, if we spread the word. Spread the word of the hobby more and be proud about the fact that we do it, then the stigma will break down very quickly. So there you go. Speaking of 40k Necromunda crossover, I'm going to kit bash a squad of Voidsmen with Palanite Enforcers, Vansar tanks on their backs, lasguns from Scions, and Orlok robot dogs. Sounds cool. Sounds really cool. Peter Cushing was a big war gamer. There are some really cool vintage footage of him. I did know that, actually, but he was more into sort of Napoleonics and stuff, I think. I wonder if he'd like Turnip 28. Peter Cushing, I reckon, would be a Turnip fan. 100% with you there. Better things to do than nurse a hangover and piss money up a wall. Absolutely, dude. Like, honestly, I used to just be an absolute waste, man. And since having this hobby back again, because I've been into the hobby for a very long time, I dropped the hobby because I thought girls wouldn't like it, quite honestly. I thought girls would think I was nerdy and I would have less success with women as a result, which is a really shallow and short-sighted thing to think, because actually that was the wrong type of girls anyway, it turns out. So there you go. It seems to be in decline because it's becoming more normal, which means it's less gossiped about. Bangarang Gaming. It seems to be... So you reckon nerding, it seems to be in decline because it's becoming more normal, which means it's less gossip. I don't know, man. I mean, if it's becoming more normal, then that means it's becoming more popular, right? Kind of, by definition. Or does it? I'm not really sure there. Would like your thoughts on how you'd house rule ash waste nomads in a Dominion campaign, as I plan to run them in my next campaign. Would you allow the use of the Spirit Call rules in the Hive? Is the Spirit Call rules, is that from Apocrypha Necromunda? If so, yes. I don't think ash waste nomads are particularly good, so they need any help they can get. So yes, I would use them. Can you use the hide in the wastes sort of thing? I would say yes as well, even though it doesn't make much sense. These guys are just covering themselves with sump detritus, I suppose. That might help. Yeah. As a senior naval officer, I've been invited to host and judge the British National Beard and Moustache Competition on October the 12th. As a barber, anything I should be looking for in a good beard? That's interesting. Who's judging it? Is it barbers judging it, or is it just regular folks? Because regular folks don't see what I see, so you got to remember that. Like I'm looking at beards and analysing them all day long. I know everything about it, but if it's just you judging it, then I don't know. As I say, beard and moustache competition. Because I don't know, the Navy has different rules where around beards and moustache, doesn't it? Like here in Australia, you can't. Cody was telling me about this the other day. I think you have to put in. You have to put in a request to grow a beard. If it isn't a certain length and girth by like 3 or 4 weeks, you have to shave it all off. If the moustache doesn't match the beard or doesn't join up to the beard, you have to get rid of it. Things like that. So I guess it depends where you are. But sounds pretty fun. I think that would be a really interesting one. Moustache competition. I guess go with... It's hard because some people just have genetically much better predisposition for... facial hair, I suppose. So you've got to maybe ignore that and just go with the most well-kept, most best maintained, I suppose, because that's, all about effort. Sorry, someone's actually drilling or doing something really loud outside, but hopefully it's not picking it up too much on the mic here. Maybe make up a bunch of awards similar to the ones at the end of the Necromunda campaign, yeah? Hairiest moustache, thinnest moustache, I don't know. Send me some pics of the winners. Yes, that would be good. Yeah, awesome. Does anyone have any more random questions and hobby-related stuff that we can go through here? Because I'm not sure. We've been going for an hour here, which is insane. That went incredibly quickly, and I hardly got any painting done. So I'm going to head towards the end now, and then I'm going to go away and get some light. What am I going to have for lunch, guys? Shall I have a pie? Shall I have some... I don't know. Should I have a sandwich or something? I'm not really sure. Any chance of putting your old YouTube stuff on a podcast? Do you know what? I did actually think of that the other day, because I'm pretty sure there's a way of extracting audio from YouTube videos. I could do that, but then you wouldn't have a lot of the visual stuff. You wouldn't have a lot of the stats and whatnot. I suppose I'm talking about them, so you'd hear them, but... maybe I'll do a poll. If people really want me to do that, then I'll look into it, definitely. And if there's any specific videos that I could do, because I don't know if you... A shout out to Bonehead Podcast, by the way, because I am a huge Blood Bowl player. I've been playing Blood Bowl more than I've ever played Necromunda. I've played a lot of Blood Bowl games, and a couple of weeks ago, I won my first Blood Bowl tournament. So I congratulate myself for that. I not only won the tournament, but I also won Best Painted as well, which I'm really stoked about. I got a really nice paintbrush, actually. Check this out. Got a Winsor & Newton Series 7, which I dare not use because I just use oils and stuff. But yeah, won my first Blood Bowl tournament. What was I going to say on that, though? Completely forgotten where I was going with that. I don't even know where I was going with it. Oh, yes, Bonehead Podcast. Shout out to Bonehead Podcast. His whole library of Spotify podcasts are also YouTube videos. So he must do both at the same time. They're all quite short, don't get me wrong. But I quite like the format because it's quite short and stuff. And it's definitely doable. So there you go. Thanks for the tutorial on Malstrain Gene Stealers. I'm doing mine in a similar fashion. Awesome, dude. I'm really happy with how they turned out, actually. I'm really stoked with the Malstrain Gene Stealers. They did turn out well. What is your most memorable moment in one of your Necromunda campaigns? I've said this before. I killed a extra wound squat leader with armored undersuit and heavy carapace armor in 2 shots from a 5 credit reclaimed auto pistol. You heard that? And that was hilarious for me. How to combine Blood Bowl with Necromunda? Oh, that's an interesting one. What, you mean have Necromunda teams in Blood Bowl? Or... Ooh, you've given me an idea. I might do a scenario, a custom scenario, where Necromunda gangers have to play a game of Blood Bowl or similar. That would be quite cool. For a good weekend pie, I'd recommend taking a drive ride down to Albion Park or Pie in the Sky along Pacific Highway. Okay. All right, I'll bear that in mind. My 11-year-old daughter uses your Cawdor tutorial. I was amazed what she did. Oh, that's awesome. 11-year-old daughter watching my content. I'm not sure I feel comfortable with that because, I probably swear a lot. Maybe in my head I swear a lot, but actually I probably don't. I'm playing in my first Necromunda campaign. I built my starter gang really close to your recommendations, Ash Waste Nomads, and it's been working really well for me. Thanks for sharing. That's awesome. Yeah, I do like Nomads, but yeah, sadly they are a bit limited compared to some of the other gangs. Just like Squats, just like Mouse Train in particular, very, very limited indeed. But yeah, multi-level Blood Bowl Mouse Train in the reactor, ball as a bomb that needs to be planted. Something like that. We could definitely do something like that. I'll figure it out. But I guess your Goliaths are a bit like an Orc Blood Bowl team. Your Escher are obviously your Amazons, or even some elves. You could sort of compare the way that every Blood Bowl team plays to the way that every Necromunda team plays, so that's totally doable. Blitz Bowl will probably be easier. Blitz Bowl would be easier, but it's just a bit limited in terms of like what you can do with it. I haven't actually really properly played Blitz Bowl, so maybe I'll have to get into it at some point, but it is a different game to Blood Bowl, I'm pretty sure of that. Coming into the stream late, so apologies, already asked. Any updates to your opinions on Mouse Train and Spirers? Yeah, it is a bit late. Yeah, Mouse Train just very, very limited. Spirers, I'm actually running Spirers in this campaign that's kicking off on Friday. I'm running 2 gangs. I'm running Genestealer Cult as the main gang, and I'm running Spirers as a sort of arbitrator gang. So I'm not going to be playing them a lot, but I'll be playing them when I'm not playing the Genestealer Cult as a sort of extra tool, extra sort of... balancing mechanic, I suppose, in this campaign. So they're not really a full gang that's going to play every game, but I will certainly let you know how they go. I am starting with 3 fighters, a leader who is the Jakara build. So it's the Spyro leader with the Jakara build, so the Naga Blade and the Mirror Shield, because quite frankly, the leader with the Jakara stuff is far better than just a Jakara, so there's actually no point in having a Jakara now. I've also got an Oris with Power Fists because I've learnt from my mistakes of not having the Power Fists in the 2-player campaign because it's just dreadful. The Power Fists are so much better. And I've gone with a Malkadon with Chem Synth and 2 Toxin Whips, which is really cool. So only 3 players there. Yeah, there you go. Right, I think I'm heading towards the end of this now because it's been an hour and nearly 10 minutes. Apologies for the beginning there as we got started. I hope I've answered many of your questions. I think obviously due to having decent quality now with a new camera and with new audio and stuff, or audio that I've finally figured out how to actually get hooked up to this, I'm pretty happy with the outcome. So maybe I'll do more of these streams. Maybe I'll even do some Twitch stuff because I wouldn't mind actually, streaming some Blood Bowl 3 perhaps, streaming some Space Marine 2 perhaps. If anyone's interested in that, I will figure out how to do it. Obviously I'm 43, so I'm not particularly good with all the technology stuff, but thank you for that, Bob. That's really kind. But yeah, heading towards the end now here. So any last questions or anything really important, a burning question that you might want to ask me now, or forever hold thy breath, thy tongue. Seriously good colour this, by the way, light sea grey. Oh wow. In my first Secundus campaign, I lost my Spyro to a Tyromite toxin attack in turn 2 and rolled a 66. You didn't mention that on your videos. The Tyromites are terrifying. They're terrifying. They hit like a truck. If they hit, only 2 attacks on the charge, but if they hit, toxin, -2 AP, and Radphage. It's horrific and designed to kill Spyros, quite frankly. How do you avoid hobby burnout? Good question. You can't avoid it. It just happens after a while. But I think obviously getting stuff finished and feeling happy about it is the first hurdle. I think, but it's easier said than done. Just push yourself to finish a project, and then I think once you finish that project, you'll feel good about accomplishing something, and then that will hopefully get you through the burnout, I suppose. I'll hold my burning inside. Happy birthday. Corridor dry brushing done. Off to bed laters. Sweet. Night night. Right. That was that for now. I will catch you in whatever the next video is. If you got any ideas on other content that you would like me to do, I think I'm going to do a series on allies soon. I'm going to do I have done videos on it before, but I'm going to do an individual video on all the allies. I'm then going to do an individual video on all of the house favors. I'm then going to do an individual one on rackets, territories, scenarios. There's still, if you're ever worried that I'll run out of content, rest assured I will find every single little tiny weeny detail in Necromunda, and I will expand it and do a bloody series on it, because I am mental. So there you go. So yeah, don't ever worry that I'll run out of content, because there's always stuff to talk about with Necromunda, and indeed Blood Bowl and other games as well. Yeah, so I'm sure I will be back with another video real soon. And yeah, it's been a real pleasure, guys. So thank you very much. And I will see you in a bit. Peace out.